1, so let's go.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So how to start a conversation. I guess the fucking onus falls on me to get the ball rolling a little bit. I don't want to, but I think super
ball
specific.
a lot.
Yeah.
Got a lot of balls in here.
Man. The subliminal messages I'm sending to you.
Let's get the ball rolling. Ready,
Exactly. This doesn't have to be super. I want it to be more casual than the previous ones I've done with you guys. So I feel like before
the one we did,
I want it to
I
be
thought was pretty
official.
casual.
I want it to be less casual.
Because I remember
I want to be adversarial.
the fact that you haven't addressed me by Mr. Patterson is already off the book.
This is Mr. Zelmore, this is Mr. Patterson. I am Mr. Cortez. You know what? I feel like I'm Alex. Fine, Mr. Talent. Oh yeah, Dallas wasn't on we did one before, but it wasn't able to get posted. So yeah.
I was about to say, I already did a podcast, but we just had this conversation. That's weird too, because we were like in the garage and everything.
Yes. Yeah, this is actually where I did it with both of you guys. And ironically, I both did them with the audio that I'm essentially doing now. Because Santara told me I never actually had the mics hooked up for the majority of my podcast.
Alex does a lot of young boys in the garage.
Mm-hmm. Especially with I prefer a lower lighting, but mood music is always present. Thank you, Seth.
It's weird, the red tint's not here like it usually is.
The guy's coming next week.
Oh.
Well, the kid stole it on his way. He's like, you know what, I like this.
Like,
the rest of it I could do without.
He's like, everything was pretty shit except for the red light.
Put me in the sway.
The sway.
Yeah.
Serious topic, Alex. Go.
Serious topic. I like your fucking jacket, Seth.
North Face, stitched together by the hands of fucking slave labor. Of child slave labor.
Definitely.
Where do you think that was made? Country?
I don't know. Yes, I would say on it.
Taiwan.
Indonesia.
I'm just guessing China because that's probably the
majority of marketing.
Wait, is Taiwan the one that China's like, no, that doesn't exist?
I think you're thinking of Thailand, maybe?
No, I think it's Taiwan. Or, I'm sorry, not Taiwan. One China Republic, of course.
It says made in, don't worry about it.
That would be preferable.
You just keep looking at the tags, it just says stop asking questions.
Alright, so
That just tells you your address eventually.
just wake up from the fever dream, you're making things like sewing.
Oh my god.
Just fall asleep next to each other.
Oh my god.
What now gets away?
Fucking Mickey Mouse behind the scenes.
Dude, I love South Park's interpretation of Mickey Mouse.
Fucking DFF has the same interpretation of Mickey Mouse, where it's just like this weird demonic thing where it's like
Disney is
super capitalism.
Because, I mean, right, that is, no one likes to talk about the dark side of it, or I imagine...
Dark side. They actually have an episode called The Dark Side of Disney.
Yeah?
There really is. The Dark Side of
Disney's
Disney.
fucked.
I can't even think of a... Wait. Would you go to Disneyland?
Yeah.
Then elaborate.
I would go to hell if it was available. How cool would it be to meet the devil? That's not a fair comparison. I don't know what to tell you. It's just like, yeah, I would go to Disneyland. Heard they have really good food there. I like those places because they usually sell like the big turkey legs. Those like slap.
Makes you feel like a goddamn...
It really does. You're just like, See, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have, like, the things that would be at, like, a coliseum that a king would run and just watch people get slaughtered at.
Dude, that's a weird... Because
They do exploit the workers, though.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Well, define when you're saying exploit.
They just, like, work them to death. I've just heard many stories about that. Just, like, making them walk around in a fucking mascot. Mickey Mouse or Goofy mascot for, like, hours.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they have fans inside them to, like, keep them cool.
I've heard like, the opposite.
I've heard, like,
the opposite, though, because, like, you have to, like, be really competitive to even get into that. You have to really want
Those
to be
people
a
are
mascot.
skilled, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have to, like...
I don't think all of them are skilled. Some of them are just janitors and stuff.
I do.
Have you been to Disney World?
Yeah.
Have you talked with, like, when you interact with them, they all seem really
They go to, like,
That's
character
true.
classes,
They
like,
do go
acting
to,
lessons and shit.
Although you can say, like, it could be a Mexican mom who just came here. She doesn't really like Disney. She's just really desperate for a job, so she
I get what you're saying, though. I'm sure they're not all like that, but, like, from what I've seen, like, it's like, alright, I'm speaking from the princesses specifically.
Okay,
Yeah, your favorite.
princesses and the people who act inside the stage.
That's what I was saying.
They're,
Like the
like,
people who
just,
are
like,
very like,
so-
oh, you're actually seeing a real person's face right now. They made her look a certain way, but like that's a person. I can see what you're saying with like, oh, you're just in a fucking like the Pluto, like the Pluto costume. Like you're a dog that doesn't talk.
I just heard that some of those
Pluto's
costumes that don't have fans too.
I don't
heard,
think
like,
so, that's
Some of the
my
costumes are just like shitty and old. Like I don't have. I've heard stories.
I wouldn't be surprised if some-
Those costumes in general would suck. It doesn't matter if there's fans in them. That's my point. Like
I don't know,
guess
man. Because like you could be in a car and the air conditioning's nice.
no, I've been in one of those before. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You in a good like Disney caliber fucking.
I'm saying I'm going with him. It doesn't matter if you're outside in Florida because I've been in like an air conditioned building with an air conditioned suit and I was still hot. So you can't have fans literally everywhere. That's the end of the story. Just like
I don't know, man. People can do some crazy stuff technologically, but of course I have to put the suit on myself.
exactly. Just like I've been in a suit before that was fanned and air conditioned in a literal air conditioned mall. And I was like, oh, I'm hot as fuck right now. So I couldn't imagine being in like 100-degree weather in the blistering sun, moving around. Just
Yeah, moving around.
just be like,
You're like dancing and shit.
literally, just like it's like, oh, you're physically active. Dude, I like the you know like the underground tunnels and shit.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
there,
Where it's just like
yeah.
where it's literally just like, oh, you'll never see someone out of character because they just don't move around the
Yeah,
park.
exactly.
They just appear places.
And didn't we have a conversation about that, like Thanksgiving or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
your
talked about
dad's,
that kind of
on
reason. Oh,
Father's Day.
literally on Thanksgiving. Yeah,
That was Father's Day, I think.
Something like that.
yeah.
Oh,
It was
where they
Father's
knocked
Day.
out all the mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Like somehow just
I think that was
still water.
Father's Day.
I think so. Yeah, vaguely was that.
It was a big we all had a big breakfast.
Yeah.
I like that you guys. I like that we're like family now. That's fun.
Yeah, speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
He doesn't mean that.
I literally only address your mother as mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mama G.
Yeah.
Off the easy.
Same thing with Charles' mom. Just like, what's up, mom?
Mm-hmm. And Papa Joe.
What's up, ma?
Papa Joe, sloppy Joe. I'll never forget that some girl came over my house and was just like, oh, your dad's name is Joe? Sloppy Joe. I was like, get the fuck out.
I'm his son, man.
I was literally just like, what is wrong with you? She's a very bubbly person.
Was it done very like, tra-la-la?
Yeah, literally like dancing around with every step. She like brought me a cupcake one time. She was like, I got you a cupcake. I was
Dude,
like,
that's a weird-
ecstatic
It's like
fucking.
some Michael Jackson.
Oh my god, why is that what I immediately want to go to? Because it's so many, like, that's the thing with manic, right? It's like manic depressive. For a lot of people that are that bubbly, it's so weird to see them on their darker side with just like 1,000-yard stare.
It's like the
into
Robin
distance.
Williams fucking
Yeah.
thing where it's like you gotta have that mask because the opposite is just too dark.
That's always like my argument to shit like that, where it's like you could be like one monotone level or have the ups and downs, because the ups are usually like really cool.
And also, especially with things like Disney, because I feel like the bubbly woman in Disney become the same thing, as far as like, you kind of only want to imagine that it's just this light ray of sunshine sort of thing. Like, yeah, like here's a happy meal.
Like the princess, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
They
that.
go home and like can't pay their bills or shit. Like, it's just like, how many more shifts do I have until I'm out of debt from Disney itself?
700.
You count down the
That was Disney, that was hard,
scratches
barcodes.
One more notch for the day.
The mouse himself comes.
Mouse, like M-A-U-S, mouse.
The mouse comes to your hotel room like, you can cut down these shit. Suck some.
Sexual, please, not.
Every princess is fucking branded with a Mickey Mouse fucking.
Right on the ass cheek.
Changing topic.
Fucking tramp stamp.
Changing fucking
No water
topic.
all over it.
Okay, I don't mind some dark
It's called the
conversation.
Disney dousing.
Yeah, it's their hazing ritual. That's why you said it's like they have a high bar for, you know, who gets employed there, Alex.
That's why you said it.
Oh, why is that even funny, dude? Humor is so hard to fucking like dissect. Why certain things are funny? Because it's often it's like we talk about this often. It's like pushing the edge is sometimes the funniest thing.
Yeah, I assume you have to edit that out because I.
Nah, fuck it.
Fuck it.
I swear to God, we'd probably have to be doing that every 10 minutes in our conversation.
Yeah, that's all. Alright, yeah, I'll try.
Just triple X uncut rated.
I'll have to take like a big breath.
Have you ever been to Disney World?
I see. I confused the two.
Is that Florida?
Florida.
Florida. Yeah, Florida's the only one. Disneyland's in Cali, right? Yeah, I've never been to Disney. I've been to Disney World then.
How about you? You been to Disney World?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite shit? What's your favorite resort?
Do you count Universal Studios?
Universal
Or do you
Studios.
No, I don't think Universal's. That's not Disney, is it? Wait, shit,
Yeah,
that's
it's not.
Marvel.
It's not, but it's right next to it.
No, but think about it.
They're
That
all-
has
no,
Marvel
no,
and
they're
like
all
Hulk,
connected.
and Marvel was bought out by Disney.
It might be bought
No,
by
it's-
Disney at this
it's-
point. It wasn't always part of Disney though. It might have been like there's a lot of like like SeaWorld and shit is around Disney. There's a lot of like attractions
Have you guys
around
gone through
Disney
the
World.
Safari?
Yes.
I've never seen those. I was going through PetSmart the other day. What do you guys think about this? Just seeing the cats in the cages and like the birds and stuff.
See, the cats, I like that because they like are actively trying to get them adopted. The cats are just like, here are these cats we get.
True enough.
When it comes to just like, oh, we bought these birds to sell them, that's when it's like, I don't like it. But when it's literally just like, oh, we get these cats from shelters and shit, that's usually the animals I see there.
Yeah, bro. To like really absorb that yin and yang kind of exists, and right? I don't know if it's always existing, but it definitely seems to exist in a lot of places, if not everywhere. Like seeing the cat, like it has to be stuck in this tiny cage, all confined, but it's also giving it a home, right? And like,
Yeah, it's just like,
ideally someone
you
who
could
really
be
loves
dead
it.
right now. I was like, well, it could be
Yeah,
dead.
dude. I heard a lot of the slaves in the story of Moses when they were leaving Egypt, when they're in the desert. It's like
It's a big
at a
jump
certain
from
point.
PetSmart, Alex.
My mind connects a lot.
Time
of
out.
dots
Let me just address that real quick. That was a huge jump from. How do you feel about birds in cages? So biblical slaves. Good jump.
Well, all I was gonna say is when there was a point in the story where some of them want to go back. Cause it's
To slavery?
Yeah.
After they got free? Yeah.
Cause we're like we're in a fucking desert now.
It's like, oh, well, at least they gave me food and water and I knew I was going to be able to eat shit. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, animals, obviously, we all look at it like, oh, wow, they should be in the wild. It's like, yeah, that also equals, like, actively defending themselves constantly.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if I would want that rather than captivity. Like, unless I was like a lion, like, unless you're like an apex
Even if
predator.
you're a lion, it's like lions sometimes little shit look like.
Yeah, this is like, oh, you're on the brink of starvation all the time
Yeah.
until you eventually
Or
just
fighting other
starve.
lions and shit like you do have to like put up a lot of shit still.
If the
So
options were literally like prime living, like you won't, not necessarily like you won't be
What would prime
starving.
living even be?
For them, for a lion, I would assume like
and you sleep a lot and shit like that.
yeah,
You
just
get
like
lot
a good
of
food source, like
Like
a lot of
play,
gazelles
yeah,
and
play.
shit, and you just like have a lot of other lions
Not
that are
much
constantly trying to kill each
competition,
other. Yeah.
Not
That-
many, like,
that's like the main thing. It's just like predatory and competition and like lack of food is all like the big like I don't want that in nature. Like I wouldn't want that. I'd
Yeah.
rather live in a cage if I'd have to deal with that.
Dude, I feel like so much of growing up, I got this story of an Avatar, the Blue People movie, where it's like mankind's the one destroying nature, and nature's this beautiful, heavenly, wonderful thing they gotta protect. But it was so cool when I had my eyes open to the fact that that's a story that's like half true, right? And sometimes nature's trying to fucking kill you.
Yeah,
and like,
bitch doesn't care about you. Nature.
At least we're empathetic about killing the animals, though, Alex.
sometimes, right? Yeah, it's so
Sometimes.
humanely.
I mean,
dude.
sometimes, because it's just like, oh, how much meat have you eaten?
Did I tell you when I drove by the fucking
Yeah, the farm and
roll the windows down? I drove by
yeah, tell them about that, because you were on the phone with me when you told me.
a factory farm, and so I'm driving a long stretch of highway, and there are a lot of farms along the way where you see, where you see a lot of animals scattered about. And like these are normal farms, you'll open the window, it smells like lovely farm air, blah 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 blah. You're driving down, then you see the factory farm, I'm like, I'm gonna open the window, just out of fucking like here, I wanna see
blood, yeah.
Yeah, not even blood.
Shit.
Just
Death.
the word. Death shit,
Death
like,
has a very
I don't
specific
even,
smell.
it
It's just like
stabs
death.
you, like, it's not a thing, it's like, ooh, that smells bad, it's like, like, you gotta make sure your eyes don't get water, you don't drive off the road with you, and it lasts for miles, like, several miles after.
Yeah, they have like lakes just full of like all the feces and shit that like cause you know all the like cows and shit they like stand in like one spot all the time.
Oh, they just weren't.
But they're on like a porous like platform, right? So all their shit and piss just like falls through the like floor. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like they're standing
It's
on
great.
the toilet.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
great.
great. And so like that gets flooded into like a lake that's outside. So then that'll just be like a horrible fucking shit smelling lake. And then like they kill 1 million cows sometimes in one day. So that's like just all the blood and fucking dead carcasses around.
Yeah, it did make me want to keep going to McDonald's. I go there less now.
Fuck McDonald's. You didn't go to McDonald's at all, man.
Hey man, you fucking say that you're on the road and you're tired.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, oh, it's like the only thing open, and it's like 3 a.m. You haven't eaten in like 18 hours. It's like, ah, man.
The siren call becomes very tempting.
McDouble.
The devil
slack.
tempts you when you're at your little.
Hey man, sometimes the devil's an angel. So when you finish like
All the time, the devil's an angel.
but sometimes I don't know, man. Like sometimes I go to Taco Bell and I don't regret it. It's like I like that I went there. It was a worthwhile Taco Bell day.
It's gotta be if you're going to Taco Bell because you can only afford Taco Bell, that's defeat. That's defeat.
If you can afford Taco Bell, you can afford better food than Taco
Yeah.
Bell.
Oh yeah.
Unless
It's
you
not
really have like,
easy,
I
man.
have $3.
No, that's a
Yeah,
big
you
thing
can,
I've
still
noticed.
get better, you can still get better food than Taco Bell.
Yeah, like you
They
go
just
to
eat food.
a Walmart and just get
Yeah,
canned beans.
exactly, yeah.
I can have so many
That's true.
hundreds of calories.
Exactly.
But you're thinking
Especially-
logically.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking spotlight.
Dude, that's a weird thing, because think about the quote, like, diet's
man.
one at the restaurant, or the fucking food store, not at home. And then when you think of people addicted to food, blah, 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 when you're driving home, the amount of times you have to pass by.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
very tempting because the fucking sign you have to pass by every dude, and fucking like right from where we are right now, we could probably be at
To
like,
your house.
like I'm saying from where we are right now, we could probably be at like 3 McDonald's in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, the drive home from the gym sucks. Dude, driving home from Edge sucks because I literally have to go past. Alright. I have to go past Dairy Queen, a diner, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Popeyes.
Just gotta drive blindfolded down. Be safe.
You got so tunnel vision.
Essentially,
Only
like 10 food places I have to pass from the gym every night, and I'm always hungry when I'm leaving the gym because I'm there for like 3 hours, so I'm just like.
Yeah, man, that's a fucking weird. I mean, it's a dark and beautiful side to capitalism. The fact that we even have food so abundant, the fact that we have advertising so good, like the fact that like I have this product, I want you to buy it, and we're so masterful. The psychology of it
It makes
now.
you want it even if you don't really need it. Yeah, it's like it is.
Even if you don't even want it, you eat it afterwards, you're just like, why don't I
fucking do that?
Why did I do
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't know if people are creating that or just capitalizing on it.
Partially it's like addiction, and
Creating
partially it's like they're making it.
I feel like capitalizing on addiction. Yeah, that's what I would go with. Obviously, I've seen some ads where I'm just like, ooh, that's fucking dumb. Dude, I've seen some ads where it's essentially just like, you're a piece of shit if you don't like our product.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Like, you ever see like the Boondocks episode where they pirate the movie and the little girls with them? And it's like, oh, you're just as bad as a fucking murderer. Like, I've seen some ads like equivalent where it's just like. I've seen some ads where it's just like, oh, okay, like, it's like, oh, if you don't support us, you're not, we support this, and that, and if you don't support us, you don't support this, and that. Just like imagine going to Walmart and they're like, oh, we really donate to, like...
Side of Ukraine, if you don't spend money at Walmart, you're siding with Russia.
It's like shit like
Lesser
that.
two evils.
Dude, that's a weird thing. I feel like there's a weird brand of topics. I don't know if it's always been like that or it's gotten more like that lately, where there are these topics where when you touch them at all with just a layperson, reason kind of goes out the window. Or layperson, like someone who's not an expert in it, just like your everyday folk.
Nerd. Or lay?
Yeah,
like
layperson.
L-A-Y?
Like a layman. Mm-hmm. You never heard the term like layman? Just like your everyday person. Person you people
Average.
date with. After you finish, tapping the... Sorry, Mom.
So whores, Alex.
The topics you discussed during pillow talk.
Yeah, right? Bro, did you ever hear Lil Dicky's Pillow Talk song?
That's what
Yeah, it kind of gets into
This bitch don't know about Pangea.
Fuck was I saying?
You were saying...
Yeah, there are topics where you touch on it all, and people will just get so fucking heated. It's like, I am just gonna hate you now if you don't agree with this one side of it, and I'm gonna disrespect you from 0 to 100 so quickly, even if like I've known you for years and I'm like family or friend and something like that, on this one top, and it could be like, what would be Ukraine, Russia would be one,
Religion is
abortion.
stupid. What?
Yeah,
Or if you say, like I was saying before, like I want to set up the Bible study club at my school. Okay, I want to set up the Satanism club at my school.
What? Isn't that obviously wrong?
It's just like,
But then, yeah, you get into really interesting waters.
I know,
You're trying to say
my
what's
argument
made up religion.
about religion is this, is just like, when it comes to religion specifically, some people are just raised with it.
yeah,
So it's literally like, it's like, oh, your
fucking
reality is different than mine.
Yeah.
So like, me saying this is just like, essentially like they're, like, cause you, like how you just said how they come back with disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like just you having a different opinion to them is immediate disrespect. It shouldn't be that way, but I'm just like saying like, from that other perspective.
It's weird,
just
man.
It's
coming
because they
from-
take it personally.
Well, let's say
That's my
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to
It's
say.
because
It's like
they're
it's
brainwashed.
pretty much the same thing
It's
to them.
kind of like an insecure thing when they know their ideas aren't fucking sturdy enough to hold up to scrutiny, so they have to be like hyper aggressive. It's kind of like a defense mechanism because their fucking ideas aren't really that strong.
Well, I don't know if that's where people that had. I wouldn't be surprised if that was much the case. But with religion, I feel like a lot of the time it's because it plays such a huge role in your life, right? Like this isn't just abortion, but I don't know anybody who's getting abortion. I haven't, so it's not too personal. It's like a side background thing. But with religion, that's a huge key to how I live my life, and maybe it's been super useful for a huge chunk of your life. So now someone's trying to like kneecap it with shotgun, and yeah, maybe there's a fear, like serious.
Someone trying to fucking blast your kneecaps.
Yeah, dude. Because think about when we were.
You don't have to explain the analogy. I just thought that was a funny one. Kneecap him with a shotgun.
Because when you go at those arguments,
We walk up to your kid with a double barrel. So that's all I'm saying.
Dude, when we were like 14 or something like that, when we were super fuck religion mindset, that was like the attitude we had.
Religion,
Yeah.
fuck your tradition, fuck your
Position.
they're not mine.
So what God let. But yeah.
Fuck if I know. Something about.
I feel like teenagers can't be thrown into the mix because as a teenager I was purposely disrespectful to as many types of as a teenager I was like, oh man, it's fun to piss everyone off in every aspect. I would make fun of literally anything, didn't matter. Like it was just like who lives like that logically nowadays? Like it's like other than a fucking teenager.
It's so weird to think that we just. And we were that age, pretty much we only interacted with peer group, right? Like, I don't imagine for most of human history, tribal living, like, you'll interact with a healthy amount of, like, old people, really young people, all different ages.
You literally have to.
Yeah, it was just, you're surrounded by, like, hundreds if not thousands of teenagers all day, and you only really want to interact with them.
Everyone's dealing with trauma. Together for 7 hours. Back. Together for 7 hours. Like, every day for fucking 200 days out of a year. For 12 years?
That was it.
And then they come out and it's like, why aren't these people individuals? It's just like, fuck if I know.
Like, it was, like, we could speak, and we know math, and stuff, so that's good.
Dude, if you took me now and, like, me from high school, which is, like, two completely different
Oh, what would you
people,
tell yourselves?
Stop being an asshole. Like, first
Wait,
rip, like,
why?
you're a piece of shit.
What would be the why behind that?
It's way better to be nicer.
Like, just life will be
Yeah,
better.
like, life will get easier if you're less of an asshole. It's just that simple. It's like, if you don't piss people off, people won't try to piss you off.
Dude, they've done studies where it's like, you will, I forget what some sort of chimp, but genetically very similar, where if they are insulting or bullying to a lower dominance chimp, it actually reduces their stress levels.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, it's like, it's literally like hitting a
depressing.
punching bag. It's like, oh, if you don't have a punching bag, though, people. Like, there's just a human right there. It's like, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Not
Weird
literally,
that
but-
actually.
Yeah.
What would you tell your teenage self? Teenage self.
Bunch of fucking grappling shit.
Start training.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Start training.
I wouldn't tell him to start training, I would just tell him the bread and butter. Here's what I've learned.
Here's a rear naked
It's like, yeah, I would just tell him like very specific things that I've already perfected. And then it's just like, alright. Now it's like the ceiling of where I'm at now is just the floor of where I'd be. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh no.
That's true.
I'd just be like, that crazy time traveling set told me all this crazy stuff I don't understand quite yet, but this is how it's supposed to go.
That crazy time traveling. That crazy time traveling me.
You have to have like an eye patch or something.
Oh, I'd also tell myself to like, didn't you had a bunch of money invested in Bitcoin? Didn't that like crash like in the last day or two?
I mean, it goes up it's very volatile.
I was about to say, isn't it like super sporadic?
Yes, it's incredibly sporadic. But over long term, there are a lot of big whales of like companies that are investing huge amounts of money. So it makes me think that it's
In terms of crypto, it's like
What businesses have blown up since high school? I tell myself
definitely Bitcoin.
definitely Bitcoin. Yeah.
Bitcoin's gone up insanely. Like
yeah, I would tell myself
days.
to like invest in Bitcoin and shit in high school.
Okay, I guess like stay proud.
You gotta do
Fuck, that would be pretty
the sports
practical.
almanac trick. Now, you always gotta remember that when you're doing
Fuck.
spine time travel.
Okay, you're helping me refine
The
the
sports
question.
almanac trick.
I guess I'll lean more towards
Bet on
like
this, bet
wisdom.
on that, bet on this, bet on that, bet on this, bet on that.
I know
It's like,
I know the future.
yeah, but then eventually you just get capped.
Dude, you know what's crazy?
Eventually someone's just like, he knows too much, kill him.
Oh, I thought you meant just like eventually you just don't know the future.
No, I just meant like literally just like they're people in charge of like NFL and shit where it's like, oh, this dude's winning like all the bets for some
Yeah.
reason, kill him.
Like, something's really weird here. Like, how good can you really be? Like, the house eventually kicks you out for
Yeah,
winning
literally.
too much.
If that happens in real life, if you're just winning too much money in like every aspect, just like
even if you're not gambling, it's just like in life. Sometimes people just don't like to see one person succeed too much.
There's a quote something about like the reason your life is so safe or quiet is because of your insignificance. Something like that. Like if you begin to gain power levels in the world,
It stops. Yeah, it's not.
people like you gain the attention of some people maybe don't want to be able to influence their life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's just like I feel like it comes to the point where how significant you are or your significance is determined how much of a threat you are to other people's comfort.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's like, what does this person want? Oh, I want to jump back for some reason to a huge number of people who win the lottery. Like, I think it's like 50% within a year. They're back to their normal income.
Or like close to their normal income.
Well,
they spend all their fucking money.
Dude, my dad was super adamant because he was in debt a lot when he was younger. So all the time growing up, he's like, never get in debt. Always be really like safe with financial debt.
Yeah. Dude, I've been told the same thing by old people. It's just like, that's just fucking... It's the only reason why they gave you debt is because they thought they could make money off you in the long run. It's like, that's it. It's like...
There's also a huge counter to that. There's also a big counter to that. If you know how to use debt wisely, most of the wealthier people use debt very effectively.
Like Donald Trump.
So I should say ineffective debt.
Don't
you accidentally stumble into like...
That's like a don't use debt stupidly. Like, don't just max out credit cards.
Financial independence or intelligence. That should be something they fucking teach in school. Oh, dude, I'm talking about a podcast with
Dude, I wouldn't have given... You can't
Oh,
teach
shit,
that.
really?
Yeah. I was even...
Nah, dude.
They were so bad at explaining... Nah, she was a high school psych teacher.
Okay. I never had her, but I've heard of her.
This is a very nice lady.
Mm-hmm. I imagine she's yelling 5 times.
I was just about to say, that's every teacher though. That's like, oh, I like the teacher, so I go to... They're like, you? Probably not.
Fair enough, yeah.
It's like, no, I was an asshole. Like, these shits are literally everyone.
Dude, go on all the school districts' websites and go find Kyle O'Donnell. Go interview him.
Oh, finding him would be fun, yeah.
He probably left. No, he works.
I think he works in another school district.
Highland.
Yeah, that's why.
Not even in another school district. I think he works in the same district. Just
go to blackhorseplayradioschooldistrict.com and just look at all their teachers for Highland and shit. Until you can find him and just contact them.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle O'Donnell.
That was dizzy.
Dude, he'd probably be so down for this too.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned it.
He was my favorite teacher because he was just he literally like would know kids and he would just be like, all right, you're not doing what I want you to do. That's fine. Do this. Use your brain power elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you? Because he would literally just be like, all right, you don't want to do this, right? No. Okay. What are you interested in? Okay, let me give you this so that you can practice. It was just like, okay.
And I imagine. For practical reasons, it's really hard for teachers to do that sometimes, just because there's so many kids.
He was an engineering teacher. It doesn't really count. It's not like you can do that with math.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm teaching algebra. You don't want to learn algebra? Too bad. You're in algebra the whole year.
I would say there are ways to customize how you teach it for the person. But O'Donnell, maybe he was just a good teacher in that way.
I think with O'Donnell, he just didn't give a fuck.
He did not.
That's my thing. I could just sense that, and I was like, oh, dude, you don't give a fuck. And you're just like, oh, you don't give a fuck.
But he would still like not let people run too wild. Like he was a guy who like I'll lay the fuck, and he was just a man. Like I'll actually, like I could actually fuck up pretty much all the students here if they actually.
He was so strong, dude. For his size, especially, like he was like the definition of a fucking like. I don't know. What's the analogy?
A man, yeah.
No, what's that where it's like, yeah, it's powerful things come in small packages or some shit like that.
Keep telling yourself that.
It's the motion of the ocean, Alex. It's not the size of the wave.
Okay. Indeed.
You think a wave's big? You ever see a whirlpool?
You ever see a volcano? They just confuse them too.
Dude, that's one of the best ways to argue. It's just
oh my god,
it's just a bunch of red herrings. It's just like, oh, I'm posing something else other than your main argument.
Especially if you say them like a salesman was like really fast paced and like
you gotta shoot him out.
Now my adrenaline spiked and I can't think very clearly.
Maybe you said you're a fucking crackhead, just like you're not making any sense. I love arguing by default.
It's like, oh, you cap, you don't understand what I'm saying? You're fucking stupid.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes it's probably better instead of arguing, like, let's just try to understand what you're saying. And I'm not going to try to disprove it. Let's just try, like, if I were to, from a ground level of knowing nothing, try to understand what you're talking about, what are all the things I'd ask you? What are all the, and if I can't poke a hole in it, well, maybe there's something to it.
When I get overwhelmed in a conversation, I always just go back to like, alright, what was the original topic?
Yes.
Like, what was your original point? And if they can't get to it, it's like, alright, exactly, you're spewing bullshit. You don't even fucking know anymore. That's like just how to end an argument. It's like, yeah, it's just like, oh, you're going off, you're clearly very emotionally involved, so am I. What were you just talking about? And then they're just like, oh, I have no idea. It's like, oh, okay, there you go. Like, you're doing the same thing to yourself, so essentially. It's like, oh, I threw out so many distractions, I'm distracted. It works so well, even I don't have a defense against it.
But it works well for what, right? Like, it works well if you don't really know you're not
Winning.
winning, and how do you define winning? It's like we were talking about earlier, Seth, where if you're not...
Forfeit, like, you're too stupid, I'm gonna stop talking to you, or forfeit is like, I genuinely believe the shit you're saying. Those are two different things.
Period.
Not able to prove me wrong. It's such a weird... I don't know... I want to hesitate to put too much of it on evolution, but I'm sure a lot of it has to do with that. Where it's like, I don't want to be seen as someone who doesn't know things or can't be competent and understand how the world works. So I'm going to really fight to be like, no, I know
evolution. I blame that on our schooling. I feel like our school is very geared towards, like, you should know what's going on, and if you don't, that's your problem. Especially when it comes to, like, literal in school. Because I remember, like, it would literally, like, I feel like I would hear people ask questions that were good questions, and the response was just like, oh, you should have learned this last year. And then they would just keep teaching. You're just like, you missed something.
When we were talking about financial literacy earlier and understanding, I think one of the biggest reasons it would be difficult to teach people in high school is simply because they were bad at explaining why. Like, that's such a huge, pivotal part of education, making someone passionate about the subject and, like, understand why, not just college, like, there are so many other fucking reasons.
I was just about to say that was the only reason I ever got for everything. Just, oh, you're gonna need this in college. You're just like, why? Why? Like, yeah, because
college gets you a job.
Yeah, that was always my thing, was literally just like, every teacher that would be like, oh, you need this for college, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to college. I'm probably not even gonna fucking graduate. You're talking to the wrong person. Like, oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you don't go to college? It's like, oh, it might surprise you, but not everyone in the United States has gone to college before. Just like, dude, that's yeah. Our schools specifically were very pushy towards college. Yeah, which sucks because it's just like, I've had a guidance counselor literally tell me, like, I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I go to college. They were like, oh, you'll figure it out in your first couple years.
That's horrible.
You're telling me you want me to go thousands and thousands of dollars
a day money for something that you
and then figure it out, and then keep pressure, like, I've already spent this much, I might as well pick something.
Literally, and then it's just like, oh, and then you're near the end of it, and you have to actually use, like, all your willpower that you don't have because you don't even fucking want to do it, and then you're stuck. You're like,
or maybe, like, take a year or two off and find out who you are and what the fuck you want to do with your life.
See, that's why they don't tell you that, because then people wouldn't.
And also, it's like, they like to say, like,
oh, wow.
This many of our graduates end up going and getting a bachelor. There's, like, statistics they like throwing out, like, we graduate so many college graduates.
That's what I was saying. You could tell we were a very numbers school.
Just and that's like, how do you measure success? Because I feel like you want to try and measure success in some way, right?
Yeah.
And there's obviously an openness to corruption and it being done poorly when you start to do it, but there's some utility to college, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're more likely to get jobs and more likely to move up through the ranks in any given job, or many given jobs, if you have a
like how you say some, because it's like acknowledging there's some bad sides to college.
Yeah.
My thing about college is even if you know exactly what you want to do and know exactly what you want to do out of college, like, if you're like, I want to take this major for this reason so I get this job, you're still going to be forced to pay for classes that have literally nothing to do with that in any way, shape, or form, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But kind of like a part of it's just like weeding out the riffraff. It's like you're supposed to, like, just throw out, like, my dad has described to me like this, is like, sometimes it was just throw, like, oh, you're, like, my dad was becoming, like, a pharmacist, and he had to take, like, Spanish class, where it's like, that has nothing to fucking do with pharmacy, but it's just like, oh, it's just trying to see that, like, you're dedicated to, like, trying to become a pharmacist.
Yeah, but imagine paying fucking, like,
exactly,
like,
that's where
that's my point. Like, they make you take classes that don't have to do with it.
Mm-hmm. And waste time,
but you pay, yeah, exactly.
Alright, don't stab my throat for what I'm about to say, but...
Dude, I already saw the gears turning as we were talking about it. He's gonna tell me, oh, it's gonna make you more romantic.
Okay. Let's try and dig into like what
So if we like the
ideal.
samurai, and he stopped training with the sword.
You know what? No. Okay, but fucking what I'm
I'm sorry.
is what is a university like ideally for, right? And there is some utility to teaching someone things from many different schools of thought because it opens your brain up to literal like different ways of thinking. There's a book I'm reading at the moment called Loser Think.
True.
And the guy breaks down like this is engineering sort of thinking, artistic way of thinking, scientific way of thinking, entrepreneurial way of thinking, and there are different modes of thinking that become very useful in life. And when it comes to a university teaching you these different sorts of skills, there is, I think, a strong argument to be made for teaching you many different realms of knowledge as far as just making you a better person and better at the job that you're actually working at.
Look, I don't disagree with that. It's just that I think that when you get into that realm of like you're paying thousands of dollars,
It's a fucking
Well, you're-
Spanish, you become a pharmacist.
Like, I'm not saying your argument isn't valid. I'm saying as soon as you start actually applying it to the capitalist system that our college is, that's low.
Something does get
Thousands of dollars is
Yeah.
low. That's like community college. Imagine if it's like, like think of Chubb. It's like, I'm going to Stockton University. Every year it costs me 40, 50 grand. And imagine you're doing that because you want to do something specific, and it's like, just tack on another 10 grand so you can do Spanish to become a to become a pharmacist. It's like,
Well-rounded, it makes sense, but it also makes sense to just be like, this is what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to focus on. That
was my point though. Like, even if you wanted to be like,
eventually you'll get tired of this, and you'll just want to do other shit anyway. So it's like you'll
That was my
yourself
point.
out anyway naturally.
That was my point. No matter
Twisted.
how tunnel visioned you are to get to a certain goal, they're just like, here's more hoops. Like, here's more hoops.
They just make you go do
But
the
the-
run around.
it's not even
partially
like hoops.
that's just funding because it's like, oh, the college just making money off you the whole time, so it's like they're just trying to fucking get you to spend as much fucking frivolous time in there as possible because they know they just make more money that way. It's like it gets fucking squirrely. Honestly,
that's my counter to that. It's just like, okay, yeah, I agree that it does make. I'm not saying it doesn't make a well-rounded person. Yeah, it's just like all right, if you have this much energy, this much time, this much money, and you can only do this much, but they want you to do a little bit extra. If you physically, mentally, financially can't, that's pretty bullshit, and that's usually the case for a lot of people. Because usually people go into college and take as much as they possibly can to get done as quickly as possible to spend as less money as possible.
And a lot of people work through college shit, so it's just like,
Exactly, so it's like, my free time is spent working. It's
Yeah,
like, okay, to pay for the thing I'm doing for my future, but it's also, then it's just like, but then it's just like those extra classes where it's just like,
Brings up a weird question, like what should universities be for, right? Should they just be a glorified trade school, or should they be something more about creating like elite citizens?
I don't even know why there has to be a university in general. Like
the difference between,
think about like a Hogwarts, though. Like think about like
fantasy place.
okay, but think about like realistically, like it is this
Uh-huh.
place we will take citizens and think about because
And we give them power.
God, I can't think of a fucking harder thing to argue against. This is what I was talking about, red herrings, dog. That's a big fucking red herring. Think about fuck the conversation. You started it with think about Hogwarts.
when we talk about why should universities exist, think about a thing.
Think about Hogwarts.
Bro, listen. I guess I have to listen to the rest of this argument, but already I'm just gonna be like, no. Our university is great. Think about Hogwarts, man. Look how much fun they had.
Not even the fun, dude.
Harry Potter was a very well-rounded individual by the end of his 5 years.
Well, when you ask the question, what should university be for? Like, why even have them at all? I think Hogwarts highlights like the ideal of what, the essence of it, the essence of what a university should be for.
The magic of a university.
Okay, when you take away the magic and you apply like, okay,
I know what you're saying.
yes.
That's what I was saying. I'm not disagreeing with your argument, but that first initial statement was so abrasive.
I'm so like, oh man. But I know what you're saying is like the ideal of a college. That would be the ideal, like something like Hogwarts, where it's like we do we'll learn from each other and we expand our horizons.
Yeah, because they did everything there.
And also, just how does that improve society? Like, your life as an individual, your family's life, your local community's life, your country's life, and the world's life at large. When you have more people like that, more people like Dumbledore. You know what I mean? Like, when you think of Dumbledore as, like, the archetype, like, if you replace Dumbledore with a Yoda or the fucking White Wizard from Lord of the Rings, like, they're all essentially the same person. That's what an archetype is. It's that character that goes across stories, and it's this wise old man, the wise good king, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there is such a thing as having a ruler of society be good and not be a dictator and not be an evil king. An evil king would be Scar, it would be Voldemort, it would be, like... And to have a university maybe create more, like, good kings, more elite level, where you're going to have more powerful, influential people, but they're not corrupt. They're doing it in a way that's really good, sharp thinkers, well-rounded, all that sorts of thing. And I feel like when you talk about the ideal of it, and not only that, just great innovators, people that are really passionate about these subjects, staying up late in the night talking about, I don't know, psychology, talking about these new ideas and finding out ways to make incredibly important breakthroughs, instead of just having this factory loop machine of, like, pump people in and pump people out. I don't know, I like that idea.
There's a lot of good that comes from college, like a lot of fucking medical inventions and shit like that come from college.
A lot of problems are solved by people in college, where it's like, oh, we have this ridiculous thing that no one can solve. You just pass for the rest of the year if you can solve this. It's like, oh, I did. But I'm not saying colleges are all bad. I'm just saying because we have them based in such a heavy capitalist system, they try to suck as much money out as possible.
It might be more bad than good. Like, it might not justify itself. That's why I was saying, like, it might just be like one of those things where it's like, maybe universities were just a thing of the past that were better. It might have been one of those things where it's like, some technology is good for a while, but it doesn't stay good.
There's a point where, like,
world changes around.
Everything plateaus and it goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything has a beginning, middle, and end, where it's like, at some point the world changed so much where it's like it doesn't really fit into the world as much.
Real quick,
maybe universities
I'm gonna look up.
But there are some good things, like I just said.
I'm wondering if it's a situation where its time is done in humanity in general, or it's simply becoming corrupt. Like you could have a ruling government body, right? And that can be a very useful thing, but it can also get really corrupt. And there's the vulnerability. Yeah, that's one thing. And instead of just destroying and wiping out the whole thing, to try to uncorrupt it. Yeah, like a...
Because you have a machine that can start breaking
like
down.
a tumor, like the impure bodies entering the systems that need to be put down. Because that's also a dangerous path to go down when you're trying to fix
Any
it.
educator need to be fucking flung out of the street.
Burning books, dude.
What did I miss?
Something important. But like the dark side, even to our good dream of trying to decorrupt a university, because that can also go bad.
I just wanted to look up. So an average annual cost just of classes that you would take from Harvard is $80,000. That doesn't include a year, and that doesn't include literally anything. That's just how much it costs to get into each class.
Dorms.
Yes, that books, dorms, living situation. Oh, that's dorms. Yeah, so that would just be, well, books themselves are expensive too. Some books for class are like $1,000, and you're only going to use it for that class. Mm. I mean, they might not be $1,000, but I know they're like several hundreds of dollars, where it's like, oh, you need to buy 3 books for this class and then never use those books again. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, why is everything around college so expensive if it's so important for society?
Well, because maybe it also just costs a lot to make.
I don't think so.
And I do think, okay, if you were to put a gun to my head and like, what do you think? I think it's gone too far to the realm of corruption and focusing
I
more
was
on
afraid that with you, where it's like,
if I have a gun to your head,
I was thinking about this thing earlier, right?
I put a fucking he had the funniest fucking answer to that though. I was just like, what if I put a gun to your head and I ask you X or Y? And he's just like, I don't fucking know. And I was just like, bam! He was just like, I can answer, but I won't really believe the answer I gave you. I can tell you one or the other.
Yeah, and that's the thing about forcing it.
But anyway, what were you saying?
It's like, say you love me.
Yeah, okay. What were you saying about college, Alex? What would you say about college if you had a gun to your head, Alex? What would you say about the system? yeah. Metaphorically.
That does cost a lot just to fucking make a system like that, where it has housing, where it has high quality equipment and teachers, and like security on staff and buildings that don't fall apart and plumbing and electricity and all that. Like it costs.
And Harvard's, I think Harvard's the first university in America, so it's like a very
and that's a very prestigious one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like we're super high caliber, but of course, at least from what I've seen, there's a strong narrative that our generation definitely believes in, maybe for good reason, that it's gotten too corrupt.
That's because people know personal people who just are in student loans. Like
I feel like the generation like above us, like our parents, were just like
they got a good.
Yeah. It's like my dad went to fucking college for like $19,000, dude, at like Temple.
And he got a doctorate, right? Or
No, he got his doctorate at University of Colorado, but he got I think his master's at Temple. So it's like fucking. This is like college was just way cheaper back then.
That's what I was saying.
Like,
it's not bad inherently. It's just it's so developed in our capitalist system that it's just like
now it's maybe bad though.
Zoning in on capitalism
because that's what makes it bad.
Yeah,
college itself isn't bad.
If college was free, it wouldn't be bad at all. If you just said like if it was like public
and
school,
what you're about to say it costs a lot and stuff like that.
Well, no, when you say it's not bad at all, well, the cost gets paid from somewhere, right? And then the citizens pay for it instead of the. So there is a
Is public school bad though? Because that gets paid for by the citizens, and that's free for every kid.
I think that's generally if it's used well, and there's a way
you could argue that that's bad too, because like it's siphoning money from the taxpayers. It's like but it's going to education though, so.
I feel like we should spend more money on education on our fucking military.
And I don't even know if it's more or it's more efficiently.
I paid $100 per bullet.
I think it's one of those problems that I don't know if dumping money into it, because I think it seems that America's suffering from a lot more of lack of efficient spending and lack of resources.
Yeah. Well, because,
I don't know, this is just our thoughts, obviously,
this is factual information.
Yeah, 100%. This is the pursuit of truth. Can't guarantee it'll all be solid. What we saying? But this process is important. I really like that.
Yeah, America doesn't spend its money efficiently at all. That's what I've heard.
We're in such a weird stage right now where, like, really high, to get into, because to loop back to politics, really high fucking political tension. And it's so weird how little people... It's like, do you guys hear it brought up often at dinner tables? Like
politics? No, I hate when politics get brought up.
Yeah,
but you hear it often.
No,
like when family gets together.
Because it gets so fucking heated right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like no, we used to like alright. So like for instance, like I still go to my aunt's house a lot. We would have like family gatherings. They used to talk about shit all the time. Then it would just turn into an argument. Now we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's.
And it was just like, okay, we realize that talking about that is just going to equal you guys arguing.
Like politics and religion are like the two things that are too exhausting to want to talk about most of the time.
Maybe just even for town hall.
Which is like the opposite of what politics should be.
That's what. There's a part of me that believes that. It's like, okay, we're a democracy, right? So the everyday citizen has a huge impact on the system in general. So
we're
what should we be?
Though. I mean, we label ourselves as
democracy.
We're not a fucking democracy.
We lean more towards democracy than, let's say, Russia or China.
Okay, yeah. If you compare it to another completely not democracy, and yeah, sure.
Yeah, look, we have democratic pieces, right? We talk about pure democracy. I don't know of anything that's actually been that, but we have heavy democratic elements. Fuck.
Dude, a lot of times they were pure democracies.
Oh fuck, that's a good point. Yeah,
I don't
want you being captain anymore.
We're just gonna overthrow the captain. Yeah, fucking
mutiny. We decide new captain now.
Democracy works.
So I get what you're saying. We need a mutiny. I get what you're saying.
No.
I like where this is going.
I'm saying it's a weird thing where it's like, can we just not talk about it but still solve it? Or at least not talk about it at dinner tables and maybe just solve it in an official realm? Like, okay, let's not talk about dinner tables but meet in a town hall and have really complex conversations.
That's how it should be, but in my opinion, I feel like no one actually takes the time. Well, obviously, it's going to be a general statement because I'm saying no one as in like... that's the thing I was about to say is like time comes into play when it's just like, oh, did you actually research this topic? What is the pros and cons of what you're supporting? There's so much that goes into politics that everyone shouldn't have an opinion on politics, and that's where democracy falls apart, is where everyone gets a say in things.
Yeah,
where they
it
no
really
fucking
should be
idea.
like everyone should be a say. I feel like there needs to be like a fucking test of some sort before you vote for even the president, where it's like, if you're too stupid.
We have a test, but the test is fucking...
Really?
Yeah.
Before you vote for
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I don't think, no. No, not the test to become the president, the test to just vote for the president. That's what I'm saying.
I knew you were saying.
Yeah, the test of fucking...
I thought we had a test for voters, but...
I think it's weird.
We don't have a test for either.
The one monitoring the questions on the test, right?
Yeah, because
And we'll
that's
lean
when it
more
comes
to
into
support
like.
one party.
Educators, I
But
feel
then,
like.
what's
It's like,
that's
what are the
whatever.
three branches of the government? I don't know. You don't get a vote then. It's just like, you're too stupid, sorry. Oh, I'm a real adult though. I don't care.
Oh, I lived here my whole life. It's like, I don't
Don't care, you're not smart enough. Sorry.
That is a really weird part of our system. That's somehow been working a very long time, quite effectively.
Right, so here's my argument about like how we're not a democracy. We're just simply not. We can't pick anyone who we think could be president and make them president. That's just not how that works.
That's not how that fucking works.
You're telling me that out of everybody in America, we decided on like 2 people, and those 2 people just happened to be Trump and Biden last time. You're telling me that's what we came to as an entire fucking...
Again, I'm not saying we're a pure democracy, but we obviously have strong elements.
Exactly. It's like when you said, like, we're closer to a democracy than China. It's like closer, but it's like, it's still not a fucking democracy, though. It's like, it's still nowhere near a fucking actual ideal for a democracy. But it is closer
I feel like we call it democracy to keep people happy.
But it's
we're not
closer
actually
than
democracy.
Russia, where it's just like Putin.
There are votes we make that could, let's say once it gets down to a Biden or because we can vote in primaries too, and yeah, there's the invisible primary. There's when we talk about illegitimate elections, there is the conversation about like the invisible primary, about the people who the party, like the GOP and the Democratic Party will end up supporting very heavily, like this one candidate.
They shoot down any other candidate. Yeah, just like, oh, any other candidate besides him, we're gonna fucking slander the bullshit out of him since we own the media and shit like that too.
And there is a weird bias towards promoting the people who have the most money. But what I'm saying, democracy in the sense that, you know, when it comes down to those 2 people, and even in the primary, we have...
I just want to see how the sentence finishes. Alright, when it comes down to those 2 people, then what? Then...
Aside from gerrymandering all the ways in which it gets Trump, the people's vote does decide, does it Trump or is it Biden?
I have to disagree actually, because as from what I remember, when Trump won presidency, I forgot what I was gonna say. When Trump won presidency one time, I don't think he won the...
He didn't win the majority vote in the Electoral College.
Exactly.
That's
you're
you're
telling me that, so yeah.
Well, again, I've already agreed it's not like...
Okay.
Purebred, like, and I don't think that would even work very well.
No, Alex, you have to say the words, we are not a democracy.
We are a part democracy. We have elements to it.
He's scared.
Yeah, he's scared.
No, that would just be not true. I don't think that would be true.
You think we're a democracy? You
that's...
think calling us a democracy is not a lie. It's like if I said America's a democracy, that statement is 100% true.
And then how are you defining democracy? Are you defining it as the pure democracy, or are you defining it on the practical way that people talk about democracies on the world stage?
I'm talking about pure democracy. If I look up the definition of a democracy, it's like, that sounds like America.
Then
is that going to sound like America?
Let's look up the definition.
Let's fucking do it.
We're going to get like...
But then it's going to be no. I already know the answer's going to be no. Once you actually look it up, it's like, that's not how shit works in America. It's like, because what? Oh... You don't really get to pick the president, you don't really get to pick the primary, it's all based on money, so it's like...
Dude, there's a weird thing I've noticed, like, a lot of people just don't care about politics.
Some people don't have time to care.
That's
it's
like,
they're slaves, so, you know...
Not having time to care is weird, though, because, like, if you care, I find that a lot of times you make time. Like, if you have kids, you know, a lot of times people care enough to find time to... I don't know, tuck them into bed or some shit.
A system of government by the whole population or all eligible members of the state are typically through elected A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of state, typically through elected representatives. Okay.
What? Can you read the whole thing? I feel like you're not.
Well, one of the definitions is just controlled by an organization, like an organization controlled by the majority. Well, that's one definition, though. I don't know, you can just read.
A system of government by the whole population, or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives.
That doesn't even make sense, though, right? Like, that by itself, I was like,
It's worded weirdly, but...
I get what it's saying. It's saying either the whole populace or the populace decided to let a couple people decide.
Yeah, so that's not us. Because it's like...
That's largely us, dude. Especially when you talk about local politics.
It's largely not us.
Like talking about our senators and our mayors and things like that. We play a pretty huge role. when it gets to president, it gets much more weird. But when we talk about
that was the argument, though. Local government, I wouldn't even count because they don't have that much power compared to if the president controls nukes.
they have power like in your community.
In your community, yeah, they have power.
In your life and like. Oh, just your life and your family's life and that little
Not as much as the president.
That's my point. When it gets to like actual power of our country, it's just like the fucking difference is huge.
So yeah, okay, so if you say are we a pure democracy? No, that gets weird how you define democracy. And then also, yeah, so no, we're not a pure one, but I don't think there ever has been an effective pure one. And I don't think that's what people mean when they talk about democracy. I think they often talk
So
about...
there's no such thing as a pure democracy. Ever. There's never been a
Not that I
democracy.
know of, there might be that I just don't know of. But, yeah, I think it's much more about the idea of like,
So then the
when
word
Putin
democracy
says
is
like
useless.
99 or 95% of people voted for me
democracy.
every time for like decades.
Democracy.
So yeah, it's like okay, clearly that's it's a spectrum. in
Yeah,
a
that's
sense.
weird how we actually
Yeah.
consider him a president and we call him a president. Like we refer to him as President Putin when he's really just a fucking.
Is he a president?
By definition, yeah, he considers himself president because Russia's a
I just think of him as
democracy.
like the dictator of Russia, obviously. That's what I think of him as.
But
I don't know
that's what I'm
if
saying. Like
it's
the
official
world addresses him as like President Putin, though, if I'm not mistaken.
How much should we even? That's the big thing I wonder. How much should we even care about politics and large scale? And like, how much time should we?
Us, like as individuals, or like
Like,
what do you mean by we?
Let's say us.
Layman.
Yes.
Layman. Honestly, I want to say not much, just due to how our system is like of living. Like I feel like you can't not be a politic and be invested in politics, if that makes sense.
Did you say you can't be a politic? What does that mean?
What does that mean, Dallas?
I'm saying you can be a politic. I'm saying you can't.
What's a
What's
politic?
a politic? What is that?
Now we're just gonna fuck with you with the word, but so okay, continue. Hey, let's-
What I'm saying is.
Do you mean a politician or someone who's voting
yeah.
for? Look at me like realpolitik. I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know my words. You can be a what's a politic? You can be. I'm saying it's pretty. It seems pretty pointless to not be a politician, but be obsessed with politics.
Like it's weird when we talk about our ability to influence like local elections, right? And something as small as can they dump sewage in your local river or not? That probably has a lot to do with how
That's very
how much they know about.
localized. That's a very localized.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that could be a fucking national thing though. If it's like, oh,
I'm talking
if it's
about
a major corporation dumping shit in your backyard, then it's like, oh, well, if that major corporation goes to like the fucking federal government and they give them a bunch of money, there's a good chance.
well, the thing that comes, the reason I bring that sort of example up is I'm thinking Tulsi Gabbard describing how she got into politics, and that there was some equivalent to that happening in Hawaii, and she's like, at the end of the day, we promoted to not have, I don't remember the specifics, something like a pollution in the area, and it was the mayor, like behind the closed doors, the mayor and then the people that are like funding the mayor and the big business people, yeah, that you're talking about. And she's like, I want to be in that room. Like when you get through that door, having that conversation to decide whether the law gets passed or not. And that is very relatively local compared to like a mayor of a city.
Dude, side thought, imagine how scary that would be having to like look at like the big business people who are clearly like, oh, we'll get you killed if you don't pass this law, and you gotta be like,
so you gotta be equally radical back, like, if I fucking get my arms around you, I'm gonna kill you.
I don't think...
Because they honestly probably live versus little pussies, honestly.
Maybe if you go to like Brazil, it's more like, I feel like here will kill you, we'll probably just slander you, you know, ruin your life and your reputation.
oh yeah, we won't kill you, but you'll be dead.
Yeah.
Dead to the world of politics,
Yeah,
right?
you'll be dead.
Yeah,
You'll be alive, but you'll be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my point. We're just like,
we'll write hit pieces on you. We'll just like annoy your family a lot.
I remember fucking like what was it, like 2010-ish area. Some dude made like an engine that could run strictly off water, and they literally
it's like, oh, you're dead.
Wait, okay.
No,
there's a lot of things.
No, there's
who had him killed and
he died. He died. He got
killed. They don't know about it.
Where was this?
America.
Yeah, the guy just figured out how to like.
He was like, oh, here's an engine that runs off water, and there's like, oh, he's dead, and like it's just exactly. You don't even know. That's why it's like, you don't even know.
Who killed him? It's like probably some kind of car company who's just like, oh, we have so much money invested in cars, we're not gonna let people fucking start driving.
But you can't prove it. That's like saying like
exactly, but you can't prove it. It's like,
I don't know anything about the story. So I don't know.
That's my point.
Once you're too rich, you can just get away with any crime you want. That's a thing that is a weird thing in American society where it's like, if you're rich enough, you can just actually have people killed. Like Dallas was talking about, like, yeah, you can just wind up dead. It's just like, what are you gonna do about it? It's like, you're not just
if you just own the fucking media, like if you just own the people that cover the stories and you're just like, oh, don't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you this much money to not talk about this.
Oh, you never saw it. There you go. There you go.
Right, I'm trying to think of an example.
Especially when you get into like, I know politicians, so I can get a fucking presidential pardon, and then it's just like, I literally, even if I do get convicted,
it's like I get a presidential pardon.
I heard someone who got fucking convicted, he was one of the greatest, fucking huge tangent, right? DFF, right? Mm-hmm. One of the members of DFF, two of the members of DFF are brothers, right? Their dad was one of America's, like, most notorious scam artists in, like, really, like, ever. Mm-hmm. And when he got caught, like, the same way Al Capone was, like, he just didn't pay his taxes. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, and the government eventually came to him like, hey, you got $500,000, I can just pardon you. Because he's, like, connected to the Clinton. He said he, like, came across somebody like that as he was getting arrested. So that's pretty much just how it works if you just, like, have enough money in this country. Where it's like, if you're just willing to sacrifice a bunch right now, it's like, we just make shit go away.
Oh, like it's
we owe the media.
Greasy
so
palms is very real.
Yeah, man.
Alright, so here's my thing then. How about like the Epstein thing? No one talks about that nowadays.
Definitely got away from the media cycle pretty quick.
Yeah,
it's very quick.
Not on the media cycle at all, not in like CNN.
It's just like, it was just like, it happened, you heard about it, and that was it. Then that was like nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing nowadays.
Except when you talk about
did it even happen a full year ago?
More than that.
How long ago was that? Was that long ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh, was it before 2020?
Don't remember.
I think that was before. I think that was pre-COVID.
It's been whitewashed from my memory. I don't know. What?
Know about what? Yeah, who's Epstein?
Epstein killed himself, right? Yeah.
He's that dude who killed himself in prison.
Yeah. He's that guy who killed himself in prison.
And he blocked the cameras right before,
Yeah, that's a prime example right there. Of just like, oh, you know too much, you got caught, we're killing you.
I think you're implying causation from correlation, Dallas. You're saying just because the cameras were out and he died with broken ribs, that then he just happened to be murdered by someone.
That's
just because those things correlate, Dallas?
That's not at all what I'm saying. I don't believe in that in corporate America. We do things truthfully. Anyways.
Yeah, man. That's a weird side of having that level of power. It's like, you know there's a dark... Like, just think of anybody for your national daily crime, the dark side of humanity, and then just give that person a lot of power. Like, I'm not saying that's all the people in power, because, you know, look at the life we're living, it seems pretty decent. Clearly...
We don't have a terrible government.
Yeah, so I think there's a good side to the super powerful as well. But yeah, the Epstein shit just getting gone with the wind. And it's, yeah, man, the normalcy that came afterwards is probably one of the weirdest parts.
Yeah, I mean, how people ignore all the things that Epstein exposed and stuff. Like, they'll still buy Windows products and shit. People don't, like, didn't Epstein expose, like, a bunch of, like Bill Clinton and, like, Bill Gates and... Like, he exposed, like, a bunch of, like, celebrities to, like, go fuck...
From what I understand, they were on his plane a lot, but I don't know if they ever confirmed them going to the island. Bill Clinton, yes. I've heard, never looked into it deeply, that they confirmed him going to the island. But, you know, they had overage people at the islands, and I don't even know what the fuck... Maybe he just went there and talked to people who didn't even party when he went there. But, yeah, man, it's weird. And then you just see him on such, like, an official commercial or something like that. Bill Clinton, the president.
Still my favorite president. I mean, Hillary's worse. I mean, Hillary straight up is known for, like, you're just a fucking mass murderer. That's what Hillary's reputation is. It's just like, you just get people hit all the time.
Tell me, I don't know about that.
Really?
I've heard of the Hillary...
You've never heard of, like, Hillary, like, assassinating people?
I've heard of it. I haven't heard anything, like, very strong evidence behind it, but I've heard of it. I've heard, like, the Hillary hit list.
Well, I'm not going to be able to tell you strong evidence. You're going to have to look for that yourself. But... Fuck, yeah, it's like, if I tell you something, it's just like, there's another thing some asshole told you, but, yeah, it's like a joke on the internet, it's just like, oh, you fuck around with Hillary, you just fucking wind up dead somewhere, pretty much, it's like, oh, you suicided yourself.
Listening to them, I was listening to Joe Rogan, Tulsi, they were talking about it, and he brought up what you're talking about, And he said just the idea of that being around this person, even if it's all fake, just the idea of this being very popular is a very weird part about
Yeah, it's like, let's just say it's all fake. Then why do people make that up about you?
Well, that could be understood, but just
I don't think that could. Because it's like, who do you know that's just like
wants to make that
start
sort of stuff up on the internet?
Yeah, like it's like if someone started making shit about like Alex gets into a bunch of
Yeah, but I'm not super famous, and I'm not very influential in politics and things like that. I feel like there would be a lot of incentive to, you know, slander and turn into a nice.
Do you think Hillary Clinton gets a bunch of people assassinated? Yeah. Okay.
There's no evidence. Okay.
I mean, I didn't provide any evidence right now.
I know, that's what I'm laughing at. Dude, that's a weird thing I've thought about, like, so in fucking science.
You could have prior knowledge, though, Alex.
The Clinton society is
question.
known to have people killed.
Yeah, it's not like
Sorry,
well,
not
I don't know
known.
any strong evidence.
Sorry, not known.
Yeah, because they wouldn't.
I know there is like stories.
It's too rich to be
That's like saying
known.
9/11 is not an inside job.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
And Alex is brainwashed by the government. It's too late.
You're bad at thinking.
All I'm asking for is strong evidence. That crazy thing.
Yeah, but I feel like any evidence we give, you're just like, no, good one's good.
I don't.
Based on what evidence do you have to support that?
Alright, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, done.
How about the fact that, alright, let's just start with the basic facts is the way the buildings crumbled. Clearly, like they were demolished professionally with explosives.
I don't know how clear that is.
It's, okay, I'll have to literally pull up a video, but I'm not going to.
YouTube truth finder.
I'm not going down that rabbit hole on the internet on my phone.
Because then all your feed is just gonna be like, you want to find the Pizzagate, bro? I mean, it gets weird, right? Because there is some truth that, what is it? There's a quote, something like, conspiracies are often wrong, but when they're true, they're wildly true. Like, they're true in proportion they just couldn't fathom. But then they're often also wrong. That's a weird realm to navigate through, man. Because it's such a realm of, like, evidence is hard to find here. Like, almost in the nature of it, right? Like, let's talk about hit pieces. Like, we're trying to get people whacked. In the nature of that, we're going to make it really hard to find evidence for it.
Let's whack them off.
Can imagine just hitmen joking about that. Dude, comedians laughing about hitmen's sense of humor is fucking, I totally forget his name.
What were you saying, Alex?
Person who made a funny joke about it.
What do you mean, mm-hmm?
I don't know what you said.
I said before that? What were you saying?
I don't know, but I kind of like.
Before I said whack them off.
Okay, here's a thing I was thinking about the other day, and I was thinking about it pretty intensely. I wonder if you guys think about it. In science, there's like the pyramid of evidence, and at the top of it, there is very strict rules around it. People will look at several studies that have to meet very strict qualifications. You're looking at a group of studies, and when you collect the truth from that, that's like known as the highest form of evidence. I think it's like meta-analysis of randomized trials, something like that. And then at the bottom of it, you'll have, which is a crazy thing to learn, expert opinion and graphs. Like the fact that expert opinion is on like the bottom of that list.
Essentially, it's just like educated guesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like at the bottom of scientific evidence, which is great. And I was thinking, like, in daily lives, how often do you practically have access to like a fucking
an all-seeing eye, Alex.
Yeah, right? But we still have to make decisions constantly, right? In life and make bets on things being true and not true. So, I'm wondering, like, what are the most useful forms of truth in the everyday person's...
Are we getting into this conversation right now? What is truth?
What are the most practical forms of it in daily life? Because a lot of it is gut and, like, instinct and just intuition.
My first thought would be
I will
sight.
keep being alive.
Oh, yeah. Like sight. Like
That is
if you just see
dude,
someone,
that's a big thing. Like, why is the eye in the top of the pyramid, man?
if you see someone just walk up and shoot someone, you can say that dude just shot that dude.
Experience.
And there's nothing else to just. There's nothing else to it.
And
You
maybe
can have like
schizophrenic,
backstories.
but like probably not like it.
That's okay. Yeah, that's a good point. We're just like, okay, did you actually see that though?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we gotta gotta put him in the loony bin. He didn't see no one shoot no
Oh
one.
my god, dude! I was talking to someone who I work with, and they saw a fucking shooting. Like they were walking out of their cousin's house somewhere in Canada, I think, and they walk out, and they had like super bright, like neon clothes on, like neon green.
They did?
Yeah.
Or the person that
No, they did.
Oh.
Like as they walk
Yeah.
out, and they just see a person with like an assault rifle, like run up to a car, and she said it was like 30, 40, 50 feet away, very close, and just unloading into a car, and she just like dropped to the floor, like knocking on the door, like open up, open up. And I'm like, dude, that is not the time to be wearing very flashy garments, right?
Fuck, I only wear tie-dye.
Oh my god.
Hey man.
Dude, that would suck. Yeah, imagine just witnessing something and just be like...
And then, like imagine they turn and look at you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Imagine witnessing something, then being witnessing.
Oh!
It's just like...
Oh, every time you go to sleep, you're just like...
That's why my thing is to always just kill the fucking person first.
Like
if you get caught witnessing, you kill them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give them no fucking time.
Should have snuck up behind him and
You see someone shoot them, you shoot them. Right off the rip.
That's why we need more guns to stop mass shootings.
Yeah.
Then it'll just turn to fucking... Oh man, then it'll just turn to a crazy old west shooting. Everyone's shooting everyone.
That sounds way more fun than just a mass shooting.
I have
That is
heard
a mass shooting.
I'm quite sure the majority of
That is a proper shootout.
Yeah, Mexican standoff.
That's a Mexican standoff.
Yeah. Mexique.
Mexican.
Exactly, bro.
It's like you're hissing like a cat.
Oh, yeah. Still want a gun though. Like, to just carry on me at all times.
To just do a oh yeah.
No!
To just be protected.
Alex, if you have a gun and you carry it on you all times,
I don't think
I think you'd be in more danger than it would actually save you.
What if I'm a black belt with it though?
Doesn't matter.
What do you mean a black belt?
I'm as trained with that as a black belt is with their own body.
I think you're
I thought you meant like you're a literal black belt. I was like,
That's
if you're a
true.
literal black belt, then maybe I'd consider
Like
that.
imagine I'm a black belt and I'm also that level of skill with firearm safety, and just being very disciplined.
Wait, let me just go back to the original
Obviously,
point.
I'm not
Why
that
are you
moment.
saying, you say him having the gun makes it dangerous because of his own gun? Or are you saying people would want to shoot him more because he has a
It would
gun?
be
The own
concealed.
gun. I'm saying just the gun itself, I think you would just put in more danger than it would save.
It's kind of like, I guess, having to stick a dynamite or a grenade in your
Yeah,
body.
exactly. Whereas like, I'm saying the weapon would probably end up hurting you more likely than it would save you. It's like one of those things with technology.
Being as you are right now, I have to
yes.
agree with
I agree right now. My
Yes.
friends still
Yeah. If you were just like, hey guys, look, I'd be like,
Look,
I'm not hanging out with you
Sound like
anymore.
a 44.
Guys, look, I just cleaned the barrel.
Oh my god. I emptied it, bro. I emptied it.
Oh my
Wait,
god,
is that Dustin again? Oh, dude, fuck that. Dude, my nephew, I told you he had that big can of pepper spray. He was like showing it and he like pointed at me. I'm like, yo, don't fucking point at me. He's like, what? It's the fucking safety's on.
It's a pepper spray.
Well, he's not just gonna spray around. We're like, don't fucking point it at me.
When it does just spray around. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, bro. Sorry,
You're just
bro.
pepper sprayed in the face. Oh, what? You think it's my fault all of a
Shit
sudden? The
happens,
safety
bro.
network? You should be mad at the company that made this pepper spray.
It's like awesome.
That's like what the number one rule is: just don't point it at people.
Yeah,
It's
don't
just
find
like,
something you don't want to fucking block. That's a good
that's like the number one rule with a gun. It's just like doesn't matter if it's nothing matters. Just don't point it at anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. It's like even if you know for a fact it's been unloaded for years, just like just don't. It doesn't matter.
Just to put that fucking habit in your brain at all. To like make that a strong barrier that is never allowed to cross mentally.
Dude, I went camping one time as a young child, right, like 7 or 8, and we were shooting 22 rifles, 22 caliber rifles, so like very, very small. Like the bullet was like the size of my fucking pinky, and like the nail, the pinky nail, like lengthwise, and it just very like
Almost pellets.
Literally, I think that's the smallest caliber you can get is a 22. I don't know for sure. But anyways, so they get done, explaining, don't point this at anyone, doesn't matter if it's unloaded. Some lady just goes, and literally points it at the person next to her, and just thought it was hilarious. And that's kind of all I remember as a kid.
They just take it from her and say you're done.
I literally don't remember. I remember her just being like very quickly escorted out of there. It's like, okay, you don't get to do this.
Yeah.
22 can't kill someone.
But honestly, like, I was thinking, I was like, dude, if I was someone else and I just saw someone pointing a gun at someone, I may have just shot her. if I just saw her stand up and point a gun at someone, I would immediately assume she's about to shoot that person. I should shoot her.
Unless you see it, hopefully. But when the people aren't super well fucking trigger finger trained, they're like,
You blow her head off. You blow her head off, she drops to the ground, and she pulls
shoot
the trigger
someone.
down,
Yeah.
shoots some other random person, and the chaos ensues. Everyone's like, all hot, and everyone starts shooting.
They saw him shoot, so now we gotta shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, panic can be weirdly effective.
That was just my thing, which is like if like just out of context, if I just saw someone just like stand up and point a fucking gun at someone, I'd be like, oh, they're about to shoot.
Dude, I was thinking about that the other day. Like the guy I interacted with, not that specifically, but that realm of thing where like, okay, the guy who had his hand in his pocket, like fucking whipping all that jazz, he's walking up to me. I'm like, fuck, man. If I'm really thinking about it calmly for a second, if he were to quickly pull his hand out of his pocket at all, I should just charge him with the rationale that if it's a gun and I don't charge you right now, I'll have no opportunity to after you pull it out and point it at me. Like as soon as that hand like leaves, I need to already be on it and grabbing your hand.
Or you could just run away.
I can't.
Can't outrun bullets, dude.
Also, I'm just a slow runner.
Cover.
Yeah, but then you could just like loop around.
That's a very bad idea. If you're in striking range, that would be a bad idea to just leave.
Hey, sometimes you want to pay attention to what gun they have. Wait until they're on their last bullet, and then charge them then. And it's just like, oh, I gotta reload.
Assuming
Assuming
like unloading while not
some
seeing you.
people
Alright, if that's a lot of us, you're assuming that A, you know the bullet count, B, he has a normal magazine,
And you're calling it up to count.
I'm saying if he has like a revolver or something, like sometimes it's obvious how much.
Maybe because they have different shots. They're not all 6 barrels, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. You're thinking. You're like picturing like a western like
6 shooters.
You can clearly see there's. If he pulls the gun, it's like I have 6 shots. Like okay.
Actually, I have 7.
Yeah, because like that. Alright.
Yeah, I mean, right, if you do go behind cover,
If you
that's
have
better than
that-
standing
listen,
out in
if
the
you have
open.
Yeah, it's like charging someone with a gun is like in my
Charging before they take it out, because there's a real big difference from having it here.
That was
and
the
having it
point
here.
he was making was
Like
literally
if your hand's here and I grab it and like we're like rustling over it, as opposed to like I have it here, I can't, I'm not. Fuck what they taught me in the class where it's like,
dude, I couldn't
calmly
take those
put your
classes
hands
seriously.
close to the.
I couldn't. This dude was like, I love Krav Maga, and I like went. I went to a couple classes, and the last class I went to was like, here's how you defend an AK-47.
God damn it! If they got that close to you, it would probably work. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't.
You know what? Tuck and roll. If you were able to grab it like that, then yeah.
What do you mean it would probably work?
If you were well trained enough to actually, I'm only basing this on people I've heard that are like much more skilled who have used it in a realistic setting, like military setting, like special operative who worked on disarming assault rifles.
Okay.
But,
so very niche training we're talking about
Guns
here.
be karate.
they say if the person, yeah.
Guns be karate, 10 out of 10.
A 10-year-old with a gun will be a Navy SEAL. It's just like I don't care, fuck. It's like most of the time, 9 times out of 10. Like fucking almost every time.
Yeah, but I think the very niche thing, yeah, because it is very niche thing where it's like they're not shooting you, they're escorting you like a hostage, and then they get close. And it's like okay, but if they're just unloading, I'm like no.
That's I feel like shit like that puts people in more danger than just not knowing anything.
You gotta be so. He was open on one of the classes. Like one of the big secrets about Krav Maga is like a lot of it doesn't work unless you're at like a really high level.
Your instructor.
The main instructor.
I'm talking about fucking Manny, dog. Manny, because
Manny was very gung ho.
he was literally just like, all right.
The knife training.
When we fucking we both made children bleed with a fake knife. Worse than that. Dude,
almost in your fucking eye. Yeah.
What a great experience that was.
It was.
Dude, because I saw that in slow mo, I was like, oh, Alex about to stab that kid in the face.
Alex just stabbed that kid in the face.
Yeah, it was literally like play by play because you just got done headbutting me.
Yeah.
You just got done headbutting me.
Keep in mind, I wasn't trying to stab him in the face. It's just like, don't go above here. While we're going really fast, I wasn't good enough.
Dude, it was literally like the extent of just like, oh, I just did this exercise with Alex. I know how he's just jumping, and I'm like watching it line up. I was like, oh, he's definitely about to stab this kid right in the face with a fake knife, and then just boom, right in the fucking face. Like,
it was so close to the
yeah,
it was close, bro.
Dude, I thought you hit him in the eye.
I was like here, here.
You like saw the chalk mark, and I was like, oh, it didn't hit him in the eye.
Yeah, and man, like, I don't even remember that.
Manny was like,
I don't want shit talk, man.
Alex, his reaction to that was very funny.
Yeah, it was like,
he was just like, oh, to the adolescent teens, like, oh, you guys are christened now. And we were just like, no, we just improperly train and hurt these children.
I love the idea of like playing with it at first, like where you're not, don't pretend this is life or death, just try and like tag, it's tag. You're just playing a game of tag, I'm trying to hit you once. Yeah, like, and then introduce it like that, really playful, especially when we're white belts. Because it's a funny theme, and even in jiu-jitsu where it's like the white belt is one of the most dangerous people you'll grab. Like Centaur all the time to like kick her. Yeah.
He literally almost killed me.
Oh my god, the almost neck break.
The literal like, oh, I would have just been dead or paralyzed for the rest of
They
my
should
life.
have some, there's a part of me that wishes they had something like that in school.
Alex,
like,
you stabbed that kid in the eye, right?
And
And he had pulled out a real knife and stabbed you in the fucking ribs. What would you have done?
Try to kill him, I guess.
Damn, Alex.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, exactly.
If he stabbed you with, if he found you, what the fuck?
I was why I asked you the question. I was want to throw your brain for a loop, man. It's like, man.
There's so many things.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, oh, there's the morals.
That's his answer.
Also,
That's his answer.
if you're asking me rationally, I don't know what I do in that. So, to be completely honest, when the adrenaline hits like that, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
You're
rationally though.
Seth, to answer your question, he had already stabbed the kid in
Logically,
the eye and he didn't get stabbed.
Seth asked me logically, disarm him, hold him in a situation so he can't hurt me or anybody else with a knife, and get the knife very far away without hurting him too much. Logically, that's what I would say.
My answer to this is
like, I got stabbed. I'm gonna stab.
my response would be, before he even got stabbed in the ribs, he had already stabbed the kid in the eye. What do you think he's gonna do after he gets stabbed with a real knife, Seth? It's just like, oh, you already stabbed the kid in the eye.
I love the idea of chalk knives, though. That's like a great training.
That's a great training tool. Yes, the way we did it.
it.
No,
Alright.
no. It's just like, yes, that's a
Alright,
fantastic
little
training.
gladiator.
Hey. Free ball. It's like, I'm surprised we didn't have a scramble event.
Yeah, right.
We tried to like, alright, turn your backs, walk 3 paces, go. Wait, we did do a drill like that one time. With the fucking Vinny. I remember we did some shit like that where he just like tossed something and it was like, oh, the person who gets it first is the attacker. And I was just like,
I don't remember that, but it sounds fun.
Except it wasn't with chalk knives, it was like pool needles or some shit. It was like very small.
Okay, yeah.
It was like small, like you just grab it and then try to defend like haymakers with it or some shit like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, the knife training being like, I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stab you!
the slash, like, I can't imagine very much. I'm sure like a machete or something.
You have like a little pocket knife, it's like,
Yeah, like,
like that. This is the most ineffective way to hit someone with a knife, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a fucking
Claymore.
No.
Kukri? The machete I have in my...
No. Karambit.
Oh, those
The fucking
knives?
curved ones, yeah, where it's
Oh,
literally,
those are designed
they're
for,
literally
yeah.
made for slashing.
Dude, I heard the ones you have
Fuck this.
are like, way bigger than the... I heard the original ones are like, they're so tiny you barely
They're
even
meant
see
to be
them there.
hidden.
Yeah, and it's like this tiny little talon by your pinky, and it's like, I just get really good at hitting tendons
I
or
was
something.
just about to say they were like, I think they used to be called like talons or some shit because they were literally just made to
I heard
like,
fucking raptors, velociraptors are way tinier than they ever saw in the movies and shit like that. They're around, I don't know, something...
like dogs. They're like dogs.
Something like that.
Which still is like, fuck.
I mean, they still rip you to fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. They just like,
I mean, dogs.
You
are
mean a
the first
tiger?
one, I mean.
Like your cat's not a real tiger. It's the name of one of his cat.
I had a tiger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck it, let's just throw the facade out. I owned tigers.
Dude, if those things just start going rabid on you, fuck
Just a
that.
whole
Oh, dude, a house cat? Yeah. Like, well, see, that's an unfair comparison because I'm pretty sure pound for pound, they're the most apex predator.
I wouldn't be
I think
surprised.
I actually heard that on like an Animal Planet video.
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
did like a top. You remember the show on Animal Planet? There was like a
Top
most
predators.
extreme or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I think like house cats.
Those
got pound for
weird,
pound.
weird green.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
That, the
No.
90s were all about
No.
extreme.
We didn't finish the statement. They would go through like this weird computer animated
Yeah.
simulation,
Before
and they were always
Like
green.
Deadliest Warrior for... Oh,
And
okay.
they're always green.
Exactly,
Everything was
yeah.
green. Like,
It was like
you
Deadliest
know,
Warrior.
like the Matrix realm.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
literally like that. Except it'd be like, here's how we're looking for piranha attacks. It would be like a shitty fucking edited fish coming up or something.
It was like a series where they do like, oh, here are the strongest animals. And I remember, like, for the strongest animals, number one was an ant, just because pound for pound it was the strongest. It was like, I think it could pick up like 6 times its body weight, or 10 times its body weight.
You see them
So
like
and their exoskeleton is
it's tough. I
think it's like stronger than a tank type shit.
It's really weird. I wonder why nature or evolution didn't somehow make creatures like as big as us as strong and tough as an ant.
They're in a different dimension. It's literally like when your dimensions are different, you just live in a different dimension.
We're not going to get stepped on.
Yeah, exactly. That's also true, yeah. So
right.
we have different threats.
Like, we're very... If you're going by an elephant, you're doing something...
It's like, fuck. Do I have to knock on wood for this one? Shit.
Dude, that's what we were talking about. Apparently we had lions here and had some crazy...
Lions,
there's
tigers,
this
and
bear.
bears. Oh,
There was this bear when Pangea was still a thing. Like, as it was beginning to separate and the channel was flooding between the two continents, there was some animal that apparently lived in the channel that was this bear. It was like maybe as tall as a house, and I'm not really exaggerating. And this was during the time of humans too, and that was one of the main reasons of this like theory. Yeah, like humans wouldn't want to fuck, and it died out. It was just too big. Couldn't.
That's a thing. Yeah, the predators were like huge. Because that was like at the point where there was so much food source, and then everything started splitting, and it was just like, oh, you can't survive
It's
anymore.
so weird to think of humans before we had fire or tools. And
Alex, all right, so alligators and crocodiles are already getting really fucking big. Could you imagine like how big they could get if they were in like the prime environment?
I mean,
because I don't think they die from age.
I went on an alligator tour when I was in Florida a while ago, and they said they don't know. This is at least what the
tour guide said.
Yeah, so they don't know how old they get because we can't.
I literally don't think they.
And we don't know
I don't think
how
they
big
can
they can
physically die from age. Like I don't think they just die. Like I think they have to starve or something like that. Like
they have catfish can live like hundreds of years. Like I think like alligators might be able to do the same because they like just sit around all day just waiting for shit to come to the water.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They just pounce on them and eat them. So it's like
reptiles
have to kill them and it might just I don't know. They just take hundreds of years or something. I don't know how long an alligator survives. So I just know catfish can live a really long time though.
That's like. I don't remember where I'm pulling this from. I just know that I've heard it before. It's just alligators will not die from time. If they just have a food source and not getting injured, they just will not die.
That'll be a wild point if we get to, like, we can edit our genes such that we essentially have
just
to
don't
people.
die. Well,
or can at least live for a long.
We're like looking into that. That's like not that
far away.
Well, you just don't die from old age. You always die from something. It's just that your age breaks down all your immune system and your body.
That's what I'm saying. Reptiles have like a natural thing to where they like repair themselves almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like we die from old age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, it's like from kidney failure or some shit like that. But it's like yeah. We hit a level cap. Once you reach 100, it's just like you're really fucking old.
Like how are you? Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, fucking Betty White died this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking. I didn't think she was ever gonna die. I thought I was gonna die before Betty White. Like I was literally convinced of that.
She was quite an immortal soul.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys want to smoke and then come back?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, what was it?
If you want to come back, we're just smoking.
It's your show, Alex. We're hostage here.
Oh shit.
Alex said he stabbed the fuck out of us.
We left. It's 9 o'clock.
Damn, it's 9 o'clock?
It is 9 o'clock.
How long do you think we've been doing this podcast?
2 hours.
Sounds about right.
I remember checking my phone. It was like 6:40 something at the park. So judging like the time like walking back, it was probably like hour 45.
I don't know how to read.
I could have told you that.
Violence. Especially with young men.
I don't believe in violence, let that be clear.
How young?
No, like around.
What the fuck
around
is
our
that
age.
supposed to mean?
Like around our age.
Alright, okay.
Mm-hmm. What exactly to talk about though? I feel like it's a common.
Just in general,
It's
that's what you want to talk about?
Something like that. Like the fact that it's a thing I don't hear people talk about very often, but inside of us, inside of like our humor, our activities when we hang out together, things along those lines, it's definitely an aggression to our nature, like our character. It seems a lot like that. And I don't know, I wonder how to channel it usefully.
I feel like that's just because we're animals, though. I feel like every animal just has a violent nature. Not even like a violent, well, yeah, like a violent nature, but more so like a. Do you know how goats just like bash their fucking heads together for funsies sometimes? Well, usually it's territorial, but I'm sure they're just like
Sometimes it's fun.
Yeah. Just like that. Or like how like
bears wrestle and shit like that.
Yeah, like
but
lions like fake hunt each other, like just like shit like that.
I've seen it get so like not channeled maybe in a great way, well, especially if it's just not addressed. Like to think about how often people spend time in school just kind of sitting, not really moving and whatnot. Like there's a lot of not used energy for aggression in especially I think young men that
Well, yeah, it's like a warrior spirit, I would like describe it, and it's kind of just like you just said, not funneled properly. So I can imagine just like having it like just like built up. Yeah. End result can be bad. It's like, oh, I finally get to release everything. Like someone gets in a fight and they just like bash someone's skull in. It's just like I couldn't stop. Sorry.
goddamn dude.
I got mad.
I'm here for my life after the 15th punch.
Yeah, you can't really. It's like I just got overrun by the alarm bell.
Which is weird because then like something like that could happen and then you would just like be in jail for the rest of your life like a murderer.
Dude, people's willingness to get in fights, especially as young men, it's fucking ridiculous.
Dude,
man.
especially like at our school, you'd like step on someone's sneakers and they'd be like,
Clean it, bro. And if not,
spit, shine it, and blow me a kiss. And if not, swear.
Yeah, it gets weird when you know a teacher's gonna break it up in a few seconds.
Yeah. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen teachers just get locked out. Where it's like, oh, no, we're just not
oftentimes
moving.
they'll try to stop the teacher.
We don't want to stop. We don't want the fight to stop. Come on.
So you said you asked me often like would I want to see the Coliseum back in the day, and there's this moral part that has this argument. It's like no, but then you bring up that.
Why would you say no? What if, is it consensual participants?
No,
Nah,
it's like
it was like we had a conversation. It was pretty much like, oh, we have like a time machine and we could just like go and watch like whatever time period you want. And it was just like, oh well.
And you said maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is there anything on ESPN that's gonna be more entertaining than people fighting fucking tigers or anything like no.
Tigers, lions, and bears.
Yeah,
Bro,
it's
why?
literally like people fighting like 3-on-1 sword battles with nets and tridents and shit. It's like
I never said it wouldn't be as entertaining.
But that's what I'm saying.
But just as it's more entertaining doesn't necessarily mean I want to watch it. I feel like
you're not contributing into it at all. You're just like a ghost on the wall.
Even that would be weird, man. Now I'm thinking about like how.
I don't even give a fuck if I had to participate. I would actively make that happen.
I don't know about that.
Modern times, Squid Games.
God
like
damn
the
it.
old guy. Dude, I swear to God, that old guy's face, it gave me this suspicion when we first watched it. When he was running in the green light and red light. Like super happy. It's like, I guess I was like, maybe he's just crazy and the brain's deteriorating, but I guess that also kind of was true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but also.
Damn it. Oh wait, okay, no. I don't want to hold you guys here too long, because I have all these fucking ideas that would go for a while. So, closer.
As our families. Huh?
Whoa. What would be a fucking good closer, you guys think?
What do you mean, like a quick topic of conversation for a closer?
Maybe
Or
something.
are we thinking of a one-liner?
I feel like I want to end with a little bit of like a boom.
Get fucked.
And it's just
like that would be just like.
I kind of just want to end it with that now.
Hey, yep. That's what I was wondering. I was like, yeah, I can do one liner.
Don't forget during the summertime that Christmas is gonna come around and Santa's gonna look on his list.
That's scary.
That's gonna be the fucking bonus edition you gotta pay extra for.
Oh.
He knows. Wait. Or we just all turn to the camera.
He knows.